Welcome back then guys to this live stream. It is now time for the qualifying session ahead of race 1 for IFMC GP3. And if you didn't see what happened in last weekend as well, very chaotic for GP3, especially one red flag in race 2. But Felipe Nasr went on to win race 2 with race 1 going to... In fact, I've forgotten who won race 1 now, sorry. Anyway, I'll remember in due course. But anyway, here we are then for race number for the qualifying session for IFMC GP3. And just a couple of notes, of course. Two people have qualifying bans, that being Erevanio and Marco Andretti. And on top of that as well, of course, Alexander Rossi is a weekend ban for this weekend. So he will not be taking part here at Silverstone. So instead, replacing him for this weekend will be Brazilian Sergio Sete Camara. So he'll be the one partnering alongside Jack Aitken for this weekend. And so they are who are going to be in the... that's who will be in the car this weekend in place of Alexander Rossi because of his weekend ban. But bright and sunny for this 35-minute qualifying session. So without further ado, let's get into it. So only 20 cars will be taking part in this qualifying session as a result of 2 of them having qualifying bans. We're at the end of the pit lane with current championship leader Ferdinand Hasberg. So we will wait and get this session underway. 35 minutes on the clock. And we wait for the first set of cars to come out onto the track in this 35-minute qualifying session ahead of race 1 for IFMC GP3. And so just waiting for some pit activity to get us going. And we have some in the form of championship leader Ferdinand Hasberg. So he's the first man to come out onto the track. As he now flicks off the pit limiter, the championship leader is now out on track and just coming out pit lane. Out on track he goes, and just going around Maggots and Beckett's he will now go. And so around these corners now then he'll go. That was it. It was Ferdinand Hasberg who won race 1 last weekend, so I do apologise for that. It was Ferdinand Hasberg who won. That's why he retook the lead in the Drivers' Championship last weekend after Joseph Newgarden had a very, well, pretty much Eldorado had a very forgetful Spa, and they're looking to move on if they can after scoring, no points for either driver as a result. Both of them retiring in race 1 due to separate mechanical problems, and race 2 they weren't able to recover and get back into the points. Not even a red flag. Not even the red flag that we had could have helped them out. But that's that really. Luckily for them in race 2, Hasberg didn't score any points either. So the gap between Newgarden and Hasberg going into this race, 7 points between them. So we're into the 4th weekend of the GP3 Championship. As Carl Kaiser also out there as well, as is Will Power. We also have Nico Kari out on track as well, as is Antonio Fuoco, Nick Heifeld, Robert Kubica, Sebastian Buemi, Joseph Newgarden, Lucas Di Grassi, Jack Aitken, Daniel Kvyat, and Santino Ferrucci, and of course Andretti watching from the sidelines. And I believe that Erevanio is in the motorhome watching this as well, because both of them have qualifying bans. So through towards Copse Corner goes Ferdinand Hasberg as he's on his first flying lap, looking to see if he can try and get pole position to try and increase his lead in the Drivers' Championship. But Eldorado hoping that Newgarden can possibly do the job here in qualifying. As I go through Maggots and Beckett's now then. As I'll go through Chapel. Down the back street now then. Down the, down the Downhanger Straight. I'm losing it today. As they come around Stowe Corner. Ferdinand Hasberg getting the car into the corner. And hoping to get a first flying lap in, a very clean flying lap in as best as possible, as he will now come up towards Vale and then around Club Corner. And a little lift at the beginning, but then back on the power as soon as he, just after that lift point there, in towards the flat out left-hander at Abbey, as he will now go up towards Bridge Corner now then, or down towards Bridge Corner I should say, and then up towards Priory and then Brooklands, breaking down into those corners now then. And Hasberg pretty soon about to finish off his next flying lap around the left-hander we go then, before approaching the double right-hander. And let's see what Ferdinand Hasberg is able to achieve then. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight we will now go, and Hasberg is now going to cross the line, and let's see what he's able to do. He does a 1:31.303, so that's the benchmark of time for everybody to beat. Kyle Kaiser slots the second place, P2 for Will Power. Here comes Nico Kari now then, as he just feeds around Woodcote. And across the line he goes to go P3 with that lap, so P3 for Kari, but then it's P3 for Fawako. Nick Heifel then goes to P3, as does Kubitzer as well, as it's P1 for Buemi. So Buemi now goes fastest with that lap. Here comes Joseph Newgarden across the line, and now he goes fastest, so Newgarden goes to the top of the timing sheet. As here comes Lucas Di Grassi now then, round the final 2 corners he will go. Let's see what the Brazilian is able to achieve on this lap. Round the final corner and up towards Woodcote he will go, and Di Grassi will now cross the line. Let's see what the American engineer driver can do. He goes second, so Di Grassi getting onto the front row, showing some good pace, finally getting back on the pace like he did in Spain. Jack Aitken crosses the line, goes 7th with that lap, so only 7th for Jack Aitken. Daniel Kvyat crosses the line, goes P5 with that lap. Ferrucci P9 for him. As that's that in terms of these guys. So at the moment it is currently Newgarden fastest, with Buemi, I believe, in second place, and then it is let me think, who is in third place. So no, in fact Buemi's third, so who's second? It's Di Grassi, I do apologise. So it's Newgarden from Di Grassi and then Buemi. That's what currently the top 3 looks like in this qualifying session. As now up in towards Vale Club we will go. Through the left-hander and then through the right will go Di Grassi. He gets the car through in towards this right-hander now then, before approaching the flat-out Abbey corner, which is this left-hander they're coming up to very soon. So flat we go then round that left-hander before heading down the hill towards Bridge Corner. And here we're heading back into the pits. We'll have a little run view of what the top 5 looks like. And I think either 7 or 8 cars are still yet to do laps, of course. As mentioned, if you only just joined us, only 20 cars will be taking part in this qualifying session, because 2 of them have got quali vans, that being Marco Andretti and Eero Vainio. So those 2 getting qualifying bans for incidents they caused at Belgium last weekend, specifically in race 2, especially Vainio, who made that crash with Abt, which caused the red flag in race 2 and effectively made it a 4 lap race when the restart happened. Into the pit lane then comes Lucas Di Grassi, so we'll have a look at what the top 5 looks like as we wait for another set of cars to come out onto the track. So it's currently Newgarden from Di Grassi, Buemi, Hasberg and Kvyat. That's how the leaderboard currently stands at this stage. Is coming down pit lane, I believe that is Anthony Davidson. Yes, it is. So not the man who won race 2 last weekend, his teammate Felipe Nasr. As now Davidson comes out of pit lane. It's his home race as well, along with Jenson Button and Jack Aitken. So those guys hoping to put on a show if they can. As here is Davidson coming out onto the track as he goes through Maggots and then through into Beckett's corner he will now go. So around the corner now then he goes, around the right and then through Chapel, as he will head down the hanger straight up towards the right-hander we will go. And let's see then what Davidson can do now then, as he just goes up through the right-hander now then on the track. And so through Chapel we go before approaching the next section of corners on the track. Round to the left and then through Club Corner now then we'll go Davidson. And round the right-hander he goes. And he will now come towards the flat-out Abbey corner. Joseph Newgarden back out on the track. The current pulsar to Jenson Button out there as well, as is Daniel Abt, Kyle Kaiser, Robert Kubica. And here is Sergio Sette Camara making his GP3 debut. Last time we saw him was at the first weekend of GP2 when AMI Incorporated were around, but they obviously pulled out after round 1 due to a fallout. But Camara back in the car, albeit a GP3 car, and it's only just for this weekend, of course, because Alexander Rossi, the usual driver, has a weekend ban. So that's how we're seeing Camara in the car for this weekend. Hoping to put on an impression if he can. Felipe Manazza, who won race 2 last weekend, is out there as well, as is Antoine Hubert. So he's out there. Michael Elation out there. New car has just come out, as has Ferdinand Hasberg, the championship leader. Will Power's coming out, and of course Andretti and Vainio watching from the sidelines. Davison starting a lap as he goes around Copse corner and near flats out, and I don't know if he had to do a little lift there, because I wonder if Power was alongside, but Power had to back out there. I wonder if it was Power's lift there that we heard and not Davidson, but we'll see whose time it cost anyway. or may cost, depending on if Power gets held up on his flying lap, as he's currently on a out lap at this stage. Down hanger straight will go Anthony Davidson, as he will come up towards Stowe corner now then. Around the right-hander he will go, as he ensures he tries to not make a mistake on this lap now then. Around the left-hander before approaching the left and right-handers of Vale, and then through Club. And so far, no mistakes for Davidson. So far, he's been struggling this season compared to last season, and just outshone by teammate Felipe Nasr so far. Nasr getting the victory for the team last weekend. Davidson still yet to score points this season. And as he goes around the flat-out bridge corner now then, before approaching Priory, and then up in towards Brooklyn's corner we will go. Round the left-hander now then, and then up towards the double right-handers of Luffield. Davidson about to finish off his next flying lap. Looks like Power might get held up on his first flying lap, well, second flying lap I should say, but we'll wait and see. Coming out of that final corner before going around Woodcote, and Davidson now then is going to cross the line, and he goes only 14th with that Power starting lap behind. Here is teammate Newgarden looking to improve on his pole time if he can. Round the final corner he goes, and he heads down the pitch straight through Woodcote, and Newgarden now then across the line he will go, and he improves by 700 a second, so he's now on a 1 minute 30.819. He improves on his pole position time. Button only 9th with that lap there then, as here comes Daniel Abt in the American engineering car. 10th place for the young German. Kyle Kaiser got a podium in Belgium. He crosses the line, goes to 9th with that lap. Here is Robert Kubica. Round the final corner he goes, currently down in 7th place, but let's see what Robert's able to do on this lap then. Kubica crosses the line and goes up to 4th with that lap, so into the top 4 he goes, as Kamara goes 3rd there. So P3 for Sergio Sette Kamara, and only limited running in the car, he gets it into 3rd. 7th for Felipe Nasr, 12th for Antoine Hubert. Here comes Michael Elation, currently 21st. Let's see what Elation is able to do as he goes around Woodcote, and across the line he will go, and he goes up to 4th, so a brilliant time for Elation to get up into 4th place with that lap. Nico Kari now then in the Suomi, just going around the section of corners. I think that's Hasberg behind him. Well, it would be, because Andretti's got a quali ban. Hasberg looking to see if he can try and get pole off his rival Joseph Newgarden. The final corner round Woodcote, and Kari now then is going to cross the line, and he stays 19th. Hasberg meantime, across the line he goes, and he goes up to 4th, so only P4 there for Ferdinand Hasberg, and that's that for him. Here's Will Power around Woodcote, crosses the line, stays P10 with that lap, but at the moment it is still Newgarden fastest at this stage. Kamara though, very impressive in 3rd place in the World's Racing Car, pretty much doing what Artem Markelov did last weekend in the Academy car, right on the pace straight away, but it wasn't able to materialise in the race. Kamara hoping that doesn't happen to him tomorrow here in GP3, as he looks to try and help Willows Racing out in the team's championship. And of course, it's only a one-off appearance this weekend for Sergio Sette Kamara. Alexander Rossi will be back next weekend at Magny-Cours. So now, round the final 2 corners, we'll go Kamara as he goes into the pits, and we'll update you on what the top 5 currently looks like in this qualifying session, as Kamara now heads into pit lane. Sette Kamara now then into the pits now then. And let's see what the top 5 currently stands at this stage. And up towards into the pit lane now then we will go, and through in towards the pit lane. So not just to let you know, with Sergio Sette Kamara's name, last time when I've used him I always put like a hyphen between Sergio and Sette, because that's how they treat the first names. If they've got 2 different names, they need to have a hyphen to ensure that the last name is just the last name and isn't catching on to part of the first name. Well, it turns out Sette Kamara is in fact the full last name, according to the TV graphics on Formula 2. So that's how I've treated it with this one. It's nothing much really, just a little fact, just to let you know. Lucas Di Grassi out on track, then he goes, as he just goes around Beckett, and now around Chapel, as he will go down the hanger straight before approaching Stowe corner. And Di Grassi currently in P2 at the moment, doing well in this qualifying session. We have over 22 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for race 1 tomorrow. And so far Newgarden looking good to try and close up to Hasberg and cut it down to just 5 points between themselves in the Drivers' Championship. So that's that really. Di Grassi coming out of club corner, before approaching the flat out Abbey. And so flat out he'll go through the Abbey corner before heading down the hill towards Bridge corner now then. Through the right and then up towards the double left-hander we will go now then. Degrassi about to start his next flying lap now then. As Degrassi just goes around that corner now then. For Waco out on track for AYP Racing, as is Nick Heifeld. Jenson Button out on track, as is Buemi, Sebastian Buemi, Santino Ferrucci, Anthony Davidson, Daniel Kvyat, Sergio Sette Camara, Mikhail Elation, Daniel Abt, and we'll also be expecting Antoine Bear and Felipe Nasr to come out onto the track. But Degrassi's just started a lap as he just came out of Copse corner now then. And now up towards Maggots and Beckett's he'll go as he looks to try and snatch pole off Newgarden if he can. It seems that this track is definitely suited to Degrassi's driving style. I think he even won a race here last season when he was part of Holy Trinity Racing when they were around in GP3. Holy Trinity Racing now in GP2 with Masashita and Goliath. And as you can see, Abt has come out onto the track in front of Degrassi there, but luckily for Degrassi, his teammate's not going to hold him up on his current flying lap. Through Stoke corner now then he goes, as he goes around at the left-hander before approaching Vale and Club. So through Vale then goes Degrassi, and then he'll go around Club corner. Around the right-hander he goes, as he will now approach the flat-out left-hander at Abbey. So let's see what Degrassi will be capable of. Flat through he'll go before heading down the hill towards Bridge corner now then. So around the right-hander then goes Degrassi, and he will now come up towards Priory and then Brooklands. So let's see what this lap is going to be like for the Brazilian. In towards Brooklands now then will go Degrassi. And up towards Luffield 1 and 2 will go the Brazilian. Let's see if this is going to be an improvement for Lucas Degrassi now then. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight now then we will go. As Degrassi will now cross the line. And is this going to be an improvement from him? And it is, but he stays in second place. Manages to break into the 1 minute 30, so gets a bit closer now to pole sitter Joseph Newgarden. He's on a 1 minute 30.8 now then. Degrassi is on. Here is Antonio Fuoco on a lap, currently down in 18th place. And so far been struggling this season, it must be said. Whether he'll be part of the Young Drivers Test on Monday of AMP, we'll wait and see. But Fuoco crosses the line, stays in 18th with that lap there then. And Antoine Bear is going to start a lap, as up into 16th goes Nick Heifeld, so improves, but he's still appearing to struggle in this session. Jenson Button 14th at the moment. Let's see what Button's able to do. Can the Pennzoil driver improve? He does. He goes up to 5th, so up to P5 goes Jenson Button as the fans cheer him on with that one. But then it's snatched by Buemi. He gets up to 5th place, so it pushes Button down to 6th. Up into 5th place goes Sebastian Buemi on that lap. Here comes Santino Ferrucci round Woodcote. Ferrucci crosses the line and goes up into 11th, so just outside the top 10 is Santino Ferrucci. Here comes Anthony Davidson round Woodcote. Across the line he goes, and he goes up into 16th place with that lap. Daniel Kvyat improves but stays in 9th place, still being outpaced by teammate Button at this stage. Kamara doesn't improve, stays 3rd for the moment. Up into 7th, well, stays in 7th, goes Elation, only improved by 1,000th of a second there. Daniel Abt round the final corner he goes. Let's see what the young German is capable of as he goes around Woodcote. Abt crosses the line and goes up to 15th, so he improves but not in the position where he wants to be. Here's Nasr just in the cusp of the top 10 at the moment as he goes up towards Luffield 1 and 2. Around these right-handers he will go, and let's see what Nasr is able to do on this lap. Out of the final corner and onto the pit straight through Woodcote. Nasr now then across the line he will go, and he stays in 10th place. No improvement for him at this stage. Antoine Hubert coming around Woodcote, and he goes up to 11th, so an improvement for Hubert, just outside the top 10, but up into 11th place goes the young Frenchman. So that's that for Antoine Hubert. But at the moment it is still Joseph Newgarden that's currently fastest in this qualifying session, with Lucas Degrassi in 2nd place and Sergio Sette Camara rounding out the top 3 at the moment. So around Chapel now then we'll go Antoine Hubert as he heads down the hanger straight before approaching Stowe corner. Up towards Stowe now then we will go as he flicks through the right-hander on the track, and then through the left he will go, and Antoine Hubert heading back into pit lane this time around. And there is your top 5 at the moment. Newgarden from Degrassi, Kamara, Hasberg and Buemi. That's how it currently looks. Only, look at that. Only just under 300ths of a second separate Newgarden and Degrassi. Slow close between the top 2 at the moment. And then 2 tenths behind is Sergio Sette Kamara. And also Hasberg as well. And then a further 10th behind is Sebastian Buemi. As we have just over 16 minutes of this qualifying session remaining to determine the grid for race 2 tomorrow. As out on track now then comes Jack Aitken, is down in 14th, desperate to improve after what had been a tricky weekend at Spa, but looking to see if he can get up the pace where teammate Sergio Sette Kamara currently lies at the moment as he looks to put on his show in front of his home fans. He is mainly British, of course. He is British. He's got descent from South Korea, but he is mainly from British, so he is classed as a Brit. And he'll be able to do a good job this weekend if he can. Will the British Korean, as he now comes down a hanger straight, preparing to start his next flying lap, looking to improve, as he only, at the moment, is down in 14th at this stage, as he just goes around, goes around Stowe Corner. And as mentioned, Aitken preparing a lap. Out on track comes Kubica and current poleman Newgarden. I don't know if Newgarden may get held up on his lap by Kubica, but we'll wait and see. Carl Kaiser out on track, the man that got his first podium last time out in race 2 at Belgium. So he's out on track. Will Power out there as well for DC at Eldorado. Lucas Degrassi currently second out there as well. Antonio Fuoco has come out onto the track, as has Nico Kari, who's effectively last because the other 2 have quali bans, that being Marco Andretti and Eero Vainio, his teammate. And also out there we have Ferdinand Hasberg, the current championship leader. Daniel Kvyat's just come out onto the track, as has Nick Heifeld, Sebastian Buemi, and we'll also be expecting Santino Ferrucci to also join those guys as well. Aitken hoping Ferrucci doesn't hold him up by the time he comes out of pit lane and by the time he comes out of turn 1, which is Cops. But here we go then, Ram Woodcoe. Aitken now then about to start a lap in the Willows racing car as he heads down the pit straight up towards Cops Corner. Now then he goes as he looks to improve on that 14th place at this stage. Out of turn 1 he goes, and then up towards Maggots and Beckett will go Jack Aitken. Let's see what he's going to be capable of as he just goes around first part of Beckett's, through the second part he goes, and then through in towards Chapel before going down the hanger straight, as he will now go up towards Stowe Corner pretty soon. Aitken looking to see if he can improve at this stage now then. Up towards Stowe then goes Aitken. Around the right hander he goes, and then flicking the car through the left before approaching Vale and Club. Flicking the car in for the left hander, and then around the right at Club. So far looks to be a tie lap for Aitken, but whether this will be an improvement we will wait and see. Up towards Abbey Corner now then will go Jack Aitken. Through the flat out left hander he goes before heading downhill towards Bridge Corner. Through he'll go then round that corner, and then up towards Priory and Brooklands we will go. Into the corner now then goes Aitken. Up towards Brooklands, and let's see if this is going to be an improvement then for Jack Aitken, as he will now come up towards the final 2 corners on the track. Then around Lovefield he will go. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight will go, and Aitken is now going to cross the line. Is this going to be an improvement for the British Korean? And it is. He gets up into 5th place, just a row behind teammate Kamara. So both Willows racing cars into the top 5, pushes Buemi down to 6th place and Button down to 7th. And so that's that. Kubica on the lap, and it looks like he's definitely holding up pole to Newgarden at this stage, both coming out at relatively the same time as each other coming out of the pit lane. Kubica out of the final corner as he rounds Woodcote. Is this going to be an improvement for the Polish driver? Across the line, and no it's not. Stays 9th for that lap, and no improvement for Newgarden as a result of the hold up. He stays on a 1 minute 30.819. Across the line comes Carl Kaiser. He stays 15th. No improvement. Is Will Power looking at an improvement? Across the line he goes, and he does, but only up into 9th place, but getting himself back into the top 10. Degrassi stays 2nd, unable to dethrone Newgarden off pole as of yet. Antonio Fuoco across the line stays 19th. At the moment, Nico Kari round Woodcote crosses the line and gets up into 19th place, so he's no longer last. Fuoco is essentially because the other 2 have quali bans. No improvement for Hasberg. He stays 4th with that lap. Still 11th for Kvyat, so still outside the top 10 for the Russian. Nick Heifeld crosses the line, improves to go up into 14th place at the moment, or stays in 14th. Can't quite remember. I didn't quite see what it said on his steering wheel. Here's his teammate Sebastian Buemi. Is this going to be an improvement for him? No, it's not. Stays 6th with that lap. Aitken going back into pit lane as Ferrucci now then, sorry I nearly said Fawako, is on a lap, currently 15th at this stage, looking to see if the American can improve. Round the left-hander then goes Ferrucci. And now up towards the double right-hander we will go. Round the right and then in towards the second part of Lovefield, heading down towards Woodcote as he will now cross the line. Ferrucci now then, is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't, he stays 15th with that lap there then. And so that's that for him really. So there you have it then. So at the moment it is currently still Newgarden fastest as we have just over 11 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. We're 3 minutes away from the 6:30 mark, so just over half an hour away from the top class press conference here at Silverstone. And as we come down the Hangar Straight, we will now approach Stowe Corner. And so through towards the right-hander goes Ferrucci as he'll be going back into the pits this time around as he flicks the car through the left-hander on the track. Around he goes, and now around the right-hander will go Santina Ferrucci as he comes out of the corner before approaching Abbey Corner, and he'll just go flat through this corner before approaching back into the pit lane. Anthony Davidson now then is out on track for not AYP Racing, Shadow Racing, and looking to try and improve on what is currently 18th place for the British veteran as he just comes out of Woodcote there then before heading down the Hangar Straight. Sorry, not Woodcote, Chapel, before heading down the Hangar Straight. So Jenson Button is also out there as well, and we'll also be expecting the likes of Daniel Abt, Carl Kaiser, Ferdinand Haspe, Felipe Nasser, Antoine Hubert, Jack Aitken, Nico Kari, Sergio Seti Kamara, Michael Elation and Joseph Newgarden, and potentially one more as Ferrucci comes into the pits to spawn another car to come out onto the track as Davidson now then goes up towards Abbey Corner. So around that left-hander he will go before approaching the flat-out Bridge Corner now then on the track before approaching Priory and then Brooklands. Around the left-hander he goes as Davidson prepares to start his next flying lap. His fellow compatriot also going to be starting one a little bit later on, Jenson Button, who's currently behind him on the track at this stage but not in position. Button currently I think 7th at the moment here in qualifying. As coming out of Lovefield 2 then goes Davidson as he will go around Woodcote, and Davidson now then about to start his next flying lap as he goes down the pit straight heading up towards Copse Corner now then on track. Around the right hander he will go as avoiding the curb on the outside, and I don't know if he's going to get held up there because out on track came Antoine Hubert. That looks like it's a white helmet, so whether Hubert will hold up Davidson on this lap we will wait and see. Out of Beckett's he will go before going around Chapel as he will now head down the Hangar Straight before approaching Stowe Corner, and a lot of cars choosing to come out at this point, riding on board with Anthony Davidson as he goes around Stowe. And I wouldn't be surprised at this stage if Hubert is holding him up, but we will wait and see as we go up towards Vale and Club. Through the left goes Davidson, and then around Club again, and just feeding the car around the right-hander, and just avoiding that curb on the outside before going flat out through Abbey. Flatty will go before approaching Bridge Corner, heading down towards that right-hander on the track as he will now go up towards Priory and Brooklands, and so through Priory now then, and then up towards Brookland will go Davidson, and let's see what he's capable of on this lap now then. Just over 8 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. We're now at the 6:30 mark, so exactly half an hour away till the press conference. Out of the final corner and then around Woodcote will go Anthony Davidson as he now crosses the line and he stays in 18th place. No improvement as Carl Kaiser is about to start a lap, as is that looks like Jack Aitken. Here's fellow compatriot Jenson Button. Is this going to be an improvement for him in the Pennzoil car? And it isn't. He stays 7th with that lap. Nico Kari starts a lap. So we look at Sergio Seti Kamara, who's currently in 3rd place, coming out of Club Corner now then, before approaching the flat-out Abbey. and then down the hill towards Bridge Corner now then we will go. Around that right-hander now then. And now up towards the left will go Sergio Sette Camara. And just missing that curb on the outside. Round the left-hander will go the young Brazilian. Into love field A then goes Sette Camara. And then into love field 2. Let's see if this is going to be an improvement for Sergio Sette Camara in his first GB3 qualifying session. Because so far he's doing a fantastic job. Around Woodcote and across the line comes Sergio Sette Camara, and he improves but stays in third place, unable to get himself onto the front row there. And but he's still got at least one more flying lap in if he chooses to do so. So he has got one more chance to try and see if he can do that. Here is Michael Elation. He's now going to cross the line. So far doing well in this qualifying session, it must be said. Doesn't improve though on this lap, stays in 8th place. As Ferdinand Hasberg stays in 4th place on his final flying lap. So no front row start for the championship leader. Still 12th for Felipe Nasr. And improving for Abt, who stays 16th for the moment. Hubert crosses the line, stays 13th with that lap. Kyle Kaiser round Woodcote goes the young American as he crosses the line and stays in 17th position. As Jack Aitken stays 5th with that lap there. Then Nico Kari crosses the line and he stays in 19th position. So Will Power stays 9th with that lap there. Then did Newgarden just improve there? It doesn't look like it. So he stays on a 1 minute 30.819 on his final flying lap there, it must be noted. And just over 5 minutes now then left in the session. And that's that then really. So now around the section of corners, Kamara going back into the pits as he just goes around the second part of love field. And now into the pit lane goes the Brazilian. And so now he comes in pit lane as he will now click on the pit limiter. And so into the pit lane then he goes. And so there we have it then as he goes into pit lane. That was what the top 5 looked like at the moment. Well, there it is. It's Newgarden from Degrassi, Sette Camara, Hasberg and Aitken. That's what the top 5 currently stands as. Robert Kubica in the KR Racing car has just come out onto the track with just under 5 minutes of the session remaining. Kubica will approach Stowe Corner now then. And just flicking the car in. I wonder if he's preparing for a final flying lap, which he is. So now around that second part there then before approaching Vale and Club. Excuse me. So now around the right hander will go Kubica in the KR Racing car. And that's that then really. As we will now approach Abbey Corner. And now down towards Bridge Corner now then we'll go Robert Kubica as he will now approach the left-hander around Priory and then up into Brooklands now then we will go. And so around the left-hander we will go and then in towards the double right. And Kubica now then starting a lap as Lucas Degrassi now then out there, as is Nick Heifeld, Antonio Fuoco, Sebastian Buemi, a lot of guys possibly coming out to do the final flying laps. Anthony Davidson coming out there, as will Jensen Button. Will be expecting Sergio Sette Camara, Santino Ferrucci, Daniel Kvyat, Antoine Hubert, Daniel Abt, Felipe Nasr to also join these guys. Let's try and get back to Kubica. There he is, coming out of Beckett. So he just comes out of that section of corners now then before heading down the back straight now then towards the next section of corners. And so Kubica looking to see if he can improve this time around as he now comes out of the corner now then on the track through Vale and Club. And let's see what Robert is able to do on this lap so far, appearing to be a tidy lap for the pole. Currently finding himself in, I believe, 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he's currently lying in 3rd place as he will now approach the right-hander on the track through Bridge Corner now then. And so now in towards the left-hander on the track will go Kubica. So now in towards the section of cars. In fact, that's a lock-up coming out of Brooklands there, so that will cost Kubica that well as he comes around the double right-hander on the track. A lock-up from Kubica, and let's see how much that's going to cost him on this final flying lap there then. So around Woodcote, and he stays in 10th position. No improvement for him there as a result. Button starts a lap, as does Kvyat, so both Penzo starting a lap there then. We will get to Lucas Di Grassi, who appears to be down on his personal best in the second sector, so far doesn't appear to be a threat for pole position at the moment if it stays like this. Out of Bridge Corner before approaching Priory and then into Brooklands. And so now round the left-hander will go Di Grassi, and let's see what he's going to be able to do. Around the first part now then, looks like his teammates in front, I believe that is, of Daniel Abt. I think he's about to start a lap. Out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Di Grassi crosses the line, and let's see what he can do. He stays in second place, no improvement for him there then as Nasser starts a lap. Here comes Nick Heifeld. He will now approach Woodcote, and he now crosses the line now then as for Wacko around the double right-hander on the track now then he goes. As coming out of that part now then on the track before going around Woodcote now then on the track, and he crosses the line to go up into 19th place with that lap there. A slight improvement, but still not ideal for him. Buemi now then crosses the line in the Kenny Star Motorsport car, stays in 6th place. No improvement for the Swiss driver on his final flying lap. Under a minute now left in the session. Anthony Davidson crosses the line and stays in 18th place with that lap. Kubica going back in. Here comes Jenson Button across the line. He goes and improves, but stays in 7th place with that lap there. So he improves on lap time, but not on position. What about teammate Daniel Kvyat? Around Woodcote he goes. He crosses the line, and he doesn't improve and stays in 11th. So not a good qualifying session for Kvyat. Still 13th for Antoine Hubert. Just under 30 seconds now left in the session. Santino Ferrucci around Woodcote. He goes across the line, and he goes up to 7th. So a really big improvement there for Ferrucci to get up into P7. A brilliant time for him there. Here comes Kamara across the line, and he doesn't improve, stays 3rd with that lap. Here comes Daniel Abt around Woodcote he goes, and let's see what the young German is capable of. Daniel Abt crosses the line and goes up to 9th, so Abt gets himself into the top 10 as it's still 14th for Felipe Nasr, so not a good time there then as a checkered flag reaches 0, as I think that will be that because nobody else is doing a lap, and I believe that will do it. So as a result, I believe it will be, if I'm correct, it will be Joseph Newgarden who will yet again take pole position in this race to close the gap between himself and Ferdinand Hasberg to just 5 points in the Drivers' Championship. So and opening up the Teams' Championship to 4 points between themselves and Auto Jamaica. As now around the right-hander goes Nasr. We'll see him coming to the pits. I wonder if I'll have to accelerate time because of Andretti being in the pits. We'll have to wait and see as through the left-hander goes Nasr. Around the right-hander he goes. And he will then go flat through Abbey Corner. And so up towards the flat-out left-hander of Abbey, we'll see Nasr go back into pit lane. As he goes around the flat-out Bridge Corner before approaching Priory and then Brooklands, and he'll be heading back into pit lane this time around. We'll see if we have to accelerate the time, just have to wait and see. As through the left-hander there then goes Nasr before approaching the double right-hander on the track. Around he goes now then, feeding the car in through the final corner as he now goes into pit lane now then. So Nasr in as he just goes around the chicane. And so into the pits he goes, and I believe I will have to accelerate the time a little bit because of Andretti being there. So that will be that then, as pulling into pit lane there goes those two. So yep, I'll have to accelerate time, and sorry about that, but let's accelerate time then. And there you have it then. That is the end of qualifying for IFMC GP3. So let's have a look at the grid then for tomorrow's race. Look how close it was in the top 3. Only 800s But in the end, then, after all of that, here is the grid for race 1 tomorrow. It's Joseph Newgarden who takes pole position with Lucas Di Grassi in second. Sergio Sette-Câmara on his one-off appearance gets third. A very good time for him there. Ferdinand Hasberg in fourth, with Jack Aitken in fifth. Sebastian Buemi in sixth. Santino Ferrucci seventh. Jenson Button eighth. Daniel Abt in 9th, Michael Leish in 10th, Will Power in 11th, Robert Kubica disappointing 12th, Daniel Kvyat disappointing 13th, Felipe Nasr, the winner of race 2 last weekend at Belgium, disappointing 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Antoine Hubert in 15th, with Nick Heifeld in 16th, and then it is Kyle Kaiser 17th, Anthony Davidson 18th, Antonio Fuoco 19th, Nico Kari in 20th, and due to their qualifying bans, it will be not Marco Andretti. Because of the team order, it will be Eero Vainio who will be 21st, and Marco Andretti in 22nd position. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for race 1 tomorrow for IFMC GP3. It's looking to be a very exciting race like GP2. Hopefully you do not miss it tomorrow. But that's it for the on-track action for today. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is the press conference for the top class. So if you've got any questions for the team bosses, then please leave them in the Twitch chat. But until then, I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys in around 18 minutes time for the top class press conference. See you in just a little bit.